So we have this going. I shouldn't hear myself here. What I can try to do is now. Okay. So the bare minimum is something like trying to use a writer is do properly shield and all of that. I would say. I mean, I don't know. Wait, I need something like this here. Fuck. There it is. Okay. Now I need also. What do you mean? Okay. Let me close this. Also, let me. I am extrude this. Let me. Category? What? What is the category? My bro? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I will have to guess it is the proper one, no? I will have to guess. Let me close this. Yeah. I have. How much time do I have? Let me see. I have. Okay, a little bit more than 7 minutes. Accounts here. Interface, language, English. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, my man. Now I can speak English. I'm not even part of the community. Am I going crazy? What? I didn't even show. I'm so this thing of being social. Let me also create this. Do you want to know? I don't, wait, back. Go back to this. I don't want a or beautiful. Yeah, please go back. I don't need your notifications or off. Let me turn this off. Yeah, low, off. No notifications. Thank you. So, wait, I need also to open my profile. This is so crazy. We're over here. It has been 5 days since the last stream. Almost nothing, you know? URL is hello. There is something like this. Add whatever. Self promo, yeah. I shouldn't be forgetting about anything else. So let me make this. Yeah. I know that I am needing something like the scene, the proper scene itself. So let me close this. There is nothing over here. Yeah. Let me close this. And now let me properties. This one. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It should be properly captured. Yes. So, and the more annotations, subtitles of. Yeah. Yeah. Everything is fine over here. Oh, it's quality. Yeah. Wait. It is already max quality. So, yeah. Okay, 4 minutes still. So, give me a second. So I am back, I guess. Hello. Wow. Wow, sis. He said, or something like that. I don't know. Hello. I haven't never really tested the audio, so when do we have enough time for me to do that? Not really. Anyways, this is my stream. I do whatever I want. How does it sound? Um, this is This is amazing. This is amazing. This is, oh my god, this quality is so good. Hello everybody. Hello. Welcome. Man. Finally we, oh man. It sounds great after so long. It sounds better than nothing at all. Man. Hello. Hello. I don't know what to really say. I guess yeah, to a certain extent, um, it has been a really long journey before even having something or imagining having something like this as the audio quality. I guess a little bit it is loud, certainly, and I might want to limit the audio or something like that. Wait, I can touch this thing. Give me a second. I decrease a little bit the volume. Something like what did I do? What I am touching here? Wait, this is the volume, right? Something like this. If this is max, no, this is max. Yeah. So something like one, two, three, like this. This shouldn't be so. Yeah, it is still loud. Something like this, I guess. I don't know. We have audio, anyways. So at the very least, we are doing better than before. Hello, everybody. It has been certainly a long journey to get here. It has been a very good time, the one that we spent doing everything else. But now, it is finally time. It is finally the occasion for us to get here. Um, After what felt like the longest week so far, we we have new stuff to do or work to do or buy things, let's say. So yeah, we're on that sense we're very well. Um, as always, I guess. Yeah. I'm very happy about this. So sorry sorry for getting distracted. Um, as always, hello everybody. Welcome here. I guess certainly. Give me a second. Sorry. I was going to say that certainly I got a little bit distracted because I have one obligation that is to properly say hello to everybody. So yeah, I'm sorry for not doing it. Hello, watchers, lurkers, viewers, whoever it is. In this particular occasion, we have Pansu. Hello, Pansu. I hope you are doing fine, my man. And well, here we are. This is this is the pinnacle of our career, kind of. And also, hello, Klondike. Welcome. Um, I don't know what to really say. Here we are. It has been a very good time. Not simply good, a very long journey before getting to be here. So, certainly enjoying the occasion of having the possibility of, once again, doing all of these things. And, well, we shall try to see what is the next continuation, as they will say. Um, but so far, certainly we have something to work with, something better to work with. So how to not say that we are doing good, man? Finally, a little bit more of audio quality, man. I don't know. I stunning, I will say. But yeah, anyways, hello. It has been, yeah, as I kind of said before, it has been a very long week. It has been very tumultuous, as they will say, and well, now here we are. After I don't know, we after all the different problems that we had, and after all of the different things that didn't go that well or similar, here we find ourselves enjoying a very nice time. Finally, going to do something at all, because in reality we have kind of lost or proper how to say it, or proper cycle or track, kind of. Well, not or track, more like or pace. That is the word, or pace. But all of those things are in reality simply part of the process of adjusting to life itself, you know? So, as always, nice to see that things keep happening, let's say. And, well, nice to be here. And even more obviously, nice to have all of these things to be shared with and not to simply, as as one could imagine, live in the world as a simple potato who has almost nothing for themselves. So yeah, here we are, here we are. It in this occasion I certainly have something planned. Not not only because of the microphone or anything like that, more like a coincidence, let's say, that this happened. But yeah, we have objectives, let's say. So in this occasion, we are simply talking about a little bit of study. And yeah, not only are things happening, but you make them happen. Certainly, yeah. I wouldn't even try to say that it isn't like that. It certainly takes a little bit of reflection and the capacity of admitting how much of an influence all of our actions have in this world, let's say. So certainly it is nice to try and remember that constantly more than what we could really remember is happening because we are part of it and because we decided to take action, let's say. Um, it might as well not be yet time for us to answer questions like to which extent things like this happen, or to up to yeah, up to which barrier we can say that we influence all of our realities and similar. But certainly we aren't showing so far what we have and what we're creating with our hands, let's say. Because certainly in the culmination of our work, going back or kind of the same, tracking back and analyzing all of the different results that we got from simply wishing to make something work feels fine. So certainly very, very happy, I will conclude. Very, very cheerful, a very cheerful mood. So yeah, here we are. I mean, how to not enjoy seeing things properly moving forward, even if not every single one of them is what we would have wished, or if all of our different interests are not really being completed. There are still some other parts that get properly, how to say, properly put together, properly suffice, let's say. And well, I don't know. We, despite other things that could have been greater, being not so high on the satisfaction scale, out of the things that we already have in front of us as being um, properly dealt with, let's let's go with that, are or carry inside of them more than enough a possibility of conveying and kind of conversing different rates of happiness into what is our life. So yeah, kind of the main point is always um, obviously to try and see how much we can move forward from what we already have. So yeah, I don't know. Here we are. Here we are, basically. Here we are. We are still here. Not simply that here we are. We are still here. So it is time to try and do the best out of what we are ourselves. So yeah, I don't know. Um, I don't know. I, man, I mean, certainly there is that tiny bit of a sensation, of a desire into simply ranting and all of that. It, if something has happened in these past weeks, is that I had certainly obtained the possibility of being kind of lost in my own thoughts and all of that. And after being here for so long, you kind of learn to differently, yeah, on a different mode articulate yourself. And at least in my case, I can confidently attestate that all of my experiences had been useful now for the sake of really getting me to be a lot more capable, not simply of understanding what is going on with me, but also of, let's say, yeah, I mean, the kind of the normal thing, of simply seeing the world better, making more sense out of all of the things that happen around us. Because certainly some, we can find ourselves lost in the middle of everything that happens. And certainly we can believe that there is no way for us to know what is it that we might want to go or which one could be the proper action to take next. And yeah, now we're feeling great. Now we're having proper progress towards something. And now we're substantially better than before. Let's say like that simply. Even if not everybody can agree on our actual view of things, we can for ourselves confirm that certainly we are in a better place than we were figuratively yesterday. So yeah, amazing, amazing, amazing. Certainly something deeply amazing. So yeah, I don't know. I I have been trying to not sidetrack too much, and I have already spent like 5 minutes or so on this. But yeah, happiness so far is what we can describe, and well, I I can say that probably happiness then is the objective of all of these things. Once again, to try and see how we can keep obtaining something like this while also taking into consideration, obviously, that certainly we have some very particular desires, let's say, because here we comprehend the reality of wanting to obtain a particular type of satisfaction that is the one brought by obtaining useful knowledge. So yeah, we today, as I have this already planned, and we're going to keep finally analyzing a little bit more of what is the lecture course about the, I think it was introduction to psychology. I don't remember which word is it used to describe what these things are. I think it is something like the course. No, I already said that, I think. So the class, I don't remember, but yeah, basically that we're going to keep analyzing that, which we had already been analyzing before. So yeah, let's see. I have it over here, yeah? I have it ready, right? Do I have it ready? No, I don't have it ready. Man. Let me get this over here, this over here, this over here. Okay, so far we're not lagging. I will have to keep an eye on that because probably not probably out of nowhere it might lag. Let's say like that. Let's accept that it can simply out of nowhere decide to lag. So anyways, yeah. This one. Okay, to this. Let's Let me see. I can. Okay, there it is. Transition. So well, here we are. And wow, it has been so long since the last time we saw anything of this sort. So yeah, as a very short type of introduction, what is going on, what is happening, what is this about is basically, um, I think I can tell something like this, yeah? Okay, it is simply a little bit more of knowledge about what is related to psychology, after all. Um, is this just your class? What? Eh? What are you talking about? My class, as in which sense? Also, sorry, hello, welcome, welcome. Uh, but I guess you mean something like if it is what I am seeing on university or something like that. I certainly am not watching anything like that, but I mean, yeah, yeah. I don't know why I yeah a tiny insertion on this idea. I don't know why sometimes people, sorry, I made it wrong before. People get so wary about saying this and that, but I am just starting on the course and on the whole what is it, career. I am literally not watching anything like that so far. I am literally on the starting, what is it, on the first contacts classes, I think they are called or something like that. Uh, they introduce you to what is university and all of that. But no, I mean, what Claude, like I said before, certainly enjoying the capacity of cultivating knowledge because it certainly is enjoyable. And I mean, I I don't know. I haven't really put my mind into it, into being anything like a teacher. I don't have the patience. I try to tell myself, but I don't know what to really say. Um, it is always beautiful to watch something and to extract from it the different knowledge that is contained inside of those lessons because we want to obtain them, not because there is any particular obligation behind our actions. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it doesn't really answer anything like something like, yeah. If I had the possibility of being a teacher, someone who didn't have to really preoccupy about people not getting what I am talking about, I might think about something of that sort, but in reality, it is kind of hard because sadly the system is kind of adjust towards the narrative of you need to certainly be um, capable of proving what you know, and I don't know, not every single class needs to be like that. In some occasions, you might really take out something and not even be capable yourself of articulating what you just learned. But you still have that knowledge with you. So yeah, I don't know. Anyways, I guess with that we can kind of say that yeah, in this particular occasion, even more, it is that we are going to literally watch and enjoy whatever is presented to us today in this the lecture 15. So yeah, I don't think I have that much more to say so far. Let me simply play this. There it is. What the fuck is going on, bro? La. There it is. Damn. Mm. Okay. Here. What? Why does this guy look so cool? Anyways. Anyways. Um. What? Anyways. I don't know. I certainly it is always interesting to analyze something like emotions. I I would say one of the most interesting aspects of it is to try and comprehend something like how somebody might feel and how different actions might make them feel. So certainly it will have some potential behind it. But I don't know. I I had a thinking as always, and one of the few focuses that I had was in some cases emotions can be more related to linguistics and to proper language usage than simply psychology. Um, because here it was properly given a number, 550, but not every single time. Everybody knows how much of a variety we really hold when it comes towards trying to see and trying to describe how we feel or how we might think or we might really know that somebody else feels. And it is always beautiful to intake this idea of the more we can learn to describe where we are, how we're feeling, and why we are feeling the things that we feel, the better we can deal with them, let's say. But I don't think it really is simply related to psychology. It is something more of can you really utilize something like happy if you don't really have a proper understanding of what it means? Can you really say that you're depressed if you don't really comprehend where something like that might come from? Maybe you are overestimating things like, you know, in some cases, we are observing, let's say, an emotion from too many fields, but um, a reality is that emotions themselves are completely varied on their form, and you can really find emotions coming from almost everywhere and in every single shape. I mean, 550 shapes, even if some might be similar to others, there are still enough differences to say that we have 550 different worlds that are by themselves capable of giving a very particular definition of something. So, in this case, it is that can we really believe it is obligatory to not consider from, let's say, all of the different things that are contained inside of an idea, inside of the beauty that is to learn, the beauty that is to now see why can I describe myself to others? How can I express what is going on inside of me? Because certainly something painful is to know that we are dealing with something bad, let's say. But when it stops there and when we don't really have the capacity of properly explaining to others what is our problem, what is going on, what is really making us feel bad, or what is really giving us a hard time in the present, it is in that instant that it becomes an even bigger problem, because now we don't even have somebody who is capable of knowing what can be done and what can be a solution. And the craziest thing, I mean, is something like it. It would be kind of wonderful to believe that you only need to be capable of explaining emotions for the sake of others. But sadly, the worst type of case, let's say, of this, uh, I don't know, of this symptom or this situation is oneself. Because in reality, we believe we know sometimes why we're feeling bad, why we're feeling down, happy, stressed, and if we can really put our finger exactly on where the problem lies, it is then that, yeah, I don't know, crazy, crazy. I mean, I could keep going, but we have something to watch, so yeah, maybe it isn't important to see what can be found here. So yeah, certainly we are all of us here to watch a little bit which knowledge is contained. Obviously, sorry for saying it kind of late. Welcome, Axmokuba. Welcome. So yeah, let us continue for now. But yeah, expressions, beautiful things. That is a good way to close that idea. Wait, what? It was mute this whole time? Are you fuck? No, no. I am going to. I no. This is literally the worst. I am going to end stream right now. Okay, I guess we'll have to watch all of this. Thank you. Fuck, but thank you. No. My bad. I certainly my bad. So well, it was around here, like around here, no? Around here, approximately. Man, wow, a little fumble, they will say. Yeah. Certainly somebody worthy of the affiliate title. Ah. No, don't worry. It was my problem. I forgot to unmute the, what is it? The Windows audio. The Windows, sorry. So yeah, let me see. We should have audio now. Yeah. Let me check.
Sometimes psychologists
fuck?
I'd like to talk about two aspects of
Yeah,
our mind,
there
the
is.
hot
There it
and the
is.
cool, okay? So the cool parts we've been talking about recently,
Man.
thinking parts
Nice.
like language, thought, things related to intelligence, problem solving, the rational aspects of the human mind. And today we're going to focus on, maybe the hottest of the hot, the emotions that we feel and that sort of color our lives in terms of intensity and arousal and what matters to us. And so we'll talk a little bit about, just very briefly, about a thumbnail history of the study of emotion, the scientific study of emotion, ideas about how to define it, a few models of emotion, how emotion might work, some big questions about things. Is emotion universal? Does it correlate to bodily feelings? Why do we have emotion? And then things about the brain basis of emotions. So we have a huge number of words, by one count, about 550 words, that describe the feelings we have, the emotions we have. And we have, there's a lot of overlap conceptually among them, but we have so many words because we think that, we feel that from our daily lives. The feelings and emotions that we have are such a big part of our human existence, right? How we relate to other people, how we feel when we're by ourselves. Emotions are just a big, big part of how we go about our lives. And they're readily apparent to us everywhere we look on the faces of others. Positive emotions, negative emotions, fearful emotions. You see them around you all the time. So in psychology, a lot of sort of ideas about formulating the field go back to William James, who worked at Harvard, who articulated in many ways in language that's still relevant to this day, the basic ideas, the basic things about being a human that one wants to understand out of a psychology. And as he wrote about emotion this way, if you can conceive of yourself suddenly stripped of all the emotion with which our world now inspires you, no one portion of the universe would have more important characteristics beyond another. And the whole character of its things and series and events would be without significance, character, expression, or perspective, right? That what we fear, what we desire, what we enjoy, what we find disgusting, we'll talk a little bit about disgust today, that all those things, tell us what's important and whether it's to be avoided or approached, enjoyed or loathed. And so, people have thought about emotions. You could pick a million different cultural directions. Here's a picture from Greek philosophy, but you could pick practically every culture around the world. You can't, be a human and not think about the feelings you have. But kind of strikingly, in terms of research, for a very, very long time compared to language or thinking or many topics, people sort of didn't study emotion because it seemed hard to study scientifically. And it's still harder to study scientifically in many ways, I think, than cognition. But there's been tremendous progress in bringing scientific approaches to understanding something about emotions in you and I. And, like many things, it was reinvigorated around the Renaissance and the mystery of Mona Lisa's smile. And now there's entire journals and conferences and organizations of scientific psychology devoted to study emotion. It's a big part of our lives. You would think in the study of the human mind and brain to be a big endeavor, and it is now, but that wouldn't have been true even 20 years ago. So how might we define emotion, just to sort of have some boundaries? So we could say that emotions are biologically based responses to situations that are seen as personally relevant. They are shaped by learning and usually involve changes in peripheral physiology. Your hands are trembling or things like that. Your heart is pounding. Expressive behavior, the intonation with which you speak, the facial expression that you have or see in others, and subjective experience. The emotions you have go with what you feel is going on inside you. Researchers try to distinguish between moods and emotions, and talk about moods as diffuse, long-lasting emotional states. When you're in a funk or a positive mood over, days, weeks, months. That's not what we're going to talk about today. That's interesting and important also. We're going to talk about emotions which are very punctate, immediate responses to situations, to a specific thing or a specific stress or a specific element of your environment, an immediate, strong response. And within that, one more distinction has turned out to be useful for thinking about emotions between two dimensions, arousal, or you could call it intensity, and valence. So arousal means things that are exciting and tense if they're high arousal, or calm or lethargic if they're low arousal. Valence refers to whether it's a positive thing that makes you elated or contented, negative, sad, or gloomy. And you can already see, for example, take positive valence. Elated is high arousal, right? Contented, that's low arousal. They're both positive, but they're kind of different. So is calm versus lethargic. Being calm can be sometimes good. Feeling really slow, really lethargic, right? Also, it's low arousal, but it's usually not a desirable low arousal. And so people think that they can take basically these two dimensions, valence and arousal, and use it as a useful way to say something like calm is here, it's just a little bit positive, and it's low on the arousal dimension. Excited is up here, it's a positive valence. And a different thing, gloomy, right, is negative, and it's fair.
Well, I mean, it might not really be on the point itself, but one of the few ideas that I think correlates with this is you can really try to say that something like this can be quite accurate in the sense of you can explain stuff because it is very simple, yeah? Because you're only referring to one or two types of emotions at the moment. But you can add, let's say, more. Yeah, I mean, you can add different dimensions also. Because you can decide to track, for example, throughout time how many different emotions can somebody feel, showing that they have, let's say, something very, yeah, very comprehensive in the sense of following a path towards going from simply being excited to being elated, or something like this, from being excited to being elated to being contented to going to be calm. That can be traced through time, and that you can say that is, to a certain extent, another dimension that you can add. You can also take into account how much of an elation, of an excitedness this person was feeling throughout those different moments in time also. And I mean, you can even try to throw, instead of this different type of emotions that also appear besides the main one, because certainly something that can happen is you can be thrilled about something, but you can be thrilled by something good, or you can be thrilled by something bad. And if you were to be thrilled by something good, you're probably going to feel something along the lines of terror or scaredness, let's say. But if you were to be thrilled by something incredibly positive and by something that really cherishes you up, then in that context, it is that you will kind of say that maybe you're going to feel incredibly nervous or decided, full of, yeah, spastic, very, very energetic overall. And all of those things can be measured not only by the main emotion itself, but also by those who are correlated to it. So, I don't know, I don't know. I guess the main point is to try and make sense out of, yeah, out of a basic question, that is, how can we try to encapsulate the whole idea of emotions into something explainable to others? So far, very simple. It is something like, we know that people have them. We know that people can control them, or well, so far it hasn't really been mentioned something like that. So we know that people has emotions. We are trying to categorize in which ways they exist, but not that much more so far, I guess. So yeah, maybe simply continue. And yeah. Also, certainly, it is easy to observe. I would not even try to say that no to that. I mean, very, yeah, overall very synesthetic, something like that.
Fairly intense feeling as opposed to merely lethargic, so that these two dimensions can cover a big sense of the life of emotions that inhabit us. And a huge question, and one that's brutally hard to satisfy in some deep scientific way, of course, is it restricted to humans? So if you hang around pets and animals in various circumstances, you can't help but feel they have emotions. It's just very hard for us to ask them to fill out questionnaires telling us their emotions. So, here's a chimp that has lost its mother recently. There's a dog going out for good all night. Here's an armadillo going, wee, right? Looks pretty aroused. So, we don't know how much of this in some cases is us reading human feelings into their expressions, how much of that is them feeling the same as we do. There's a lot of sense that, obviously, that many species have feelings as well as humans. We'll focus just on humans today. And the other thing that's important is they're shaped by learning. What that means is many different things, but for example, they can vary in from one culture to another in certain ways. And here's one example of a movie that's bringing tears to everybody's eyes except this person who finds it utterly hilarious. Okay, all right. And if you work in emotion research, I can tell you get that. We show, I worked a little bit in that. You show some really horrible pictures. Everybody goes, oh, horrible, 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 and somebody else starts laughing. It's like horror movies. Have you been around horror movies where some people are really, really scared out of their seats and very worried about the characters, and other people think it's all pretty funny? So that's your perspectives. It's not an automatic response to many situations. So how have people thought about, the emotion you feel when a bear jumps out of your closet unexpectedly, right? Okay. So here's a logical one. Okay, common sense.
What? Why did the topic change so suddenly? Anyways, ignoring that part. Let's go back a little bit before continuing. Taking this particular idea into consideration, I would say it always is interesting to analyze people, and it is always a very real possibility to find that sometimes you will have somebody who really finds the alter eyes on them because they do act different from the norm. But it also could be a possibility that sometimes those who show different reactions to what can be or what could have been predicted have a certain type of potential related to the whole side of them possessing and being part of a world in which they know that they need to act this way. Because certainly, this particular example, something very logical, is on horror films. We understand that, not that we understand as viewers, but rather we understand that in those situations it is normal to feel kind of terrified because something bad could be happening to us. And if we see that by feeling this type of terror, we get, let's say, an heightened sense of attention because we obviously enter a more tense, let's say, being, kind of. Because of those things, we can conclude that it is necessary for us to live like that. But maybe, if we were to take it like in the example, particularly, like a simple laughing matter, then in that instance, it might happen that because what Axmoki was saying can also be taken into consideration, not every single one of us expresses our emotions on the same way. Because of those things, it is that we can observe this particular guy, or ourselves in this case of us being the ones who perform this type of actions, we can find that we really get a different type of benefit. Maybe by being calm, it is that we can act in a more rational related way, or on a deeper rational level, because we have the capacity of abstracting the tension from the moment, because we know that it isn't really that much. You listen to really get all of our different mind alarms fire for the sake of ensuring our survival, as it is kind of normal when we get scared of something. So subjective perceptions hold more weight than reason, perhaps. Yeah, certainly, obviously. Well, the question itself will be, to a certain extent, on one hand, what you are saying is true. On the other, it happens that reason is built by the collective subjective perception and experiences that shape those reasons, let's say, and those kind of pre-existing cognitions about particular events. In most cases, yeah, I will say that at least nowadays we live in a world in which it is normal to have ideas already explained to us for the sake of ensuring our survival in a reality in which there are no real hunters going after our hair, but where there might be a moving object that we decide to call vehicle going so fast that if we're not paying attention, we might lose our life in an even more dangerous way than if we were to try and escape from a hunter. Because on one hand, we had the capacity before, but now we're dealing with something that is so out of our comprehension and our capacities of avoiding it that we might as well be condemned if we have to face something like that. So the, the subjective perceptions out of the consequences of going through things like this firsthand or seeing somebody close to us go through these things is what made those ideas be born, let's say. And those reasons or the general reasoning of the human gets born out of that. But if you were to be particularly clever, maybe you will find different ways in which you can try to react to something of this sort that could benefit everybody else. And in these cases, if you were to be capable of surviving even better than the rest on something, yeah, implying that society is capable of adapting towards change and welcoming of change, it is then that you could very much have the possibility of restructuring what was called the reason before. Because it, as I said before, it is built on the different subjective perceptions. And if what you're presenting is better than the one being used by the rest, and obviously the condition of the society being capable of accepting change is open, then things get completely different. So I don't know. I don't know. It is true. It is true. And the problem is to which extent we know how much of a truth it is and how much we encourage people to try and find different responses to things on the daily life, let's say. Because if you had every single human working towards finding different solutions to the daily problems that plague our existence, not having some people like we do nowadays, but rather encouraging every single one of us to find them, then it is in those instances that we might deal with problems in a better way because we will have so many humans focus on literally and solving what holds us back from being less worried on what is actually happening for the sake of, once again, getting towards a better future and all of those things that motivate the actual society and the actual narrative in which we live, that maybe we don't really have the possibility of knowing how big something like this could really be called influential or not. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I guess so far, the idea is, yeah, might be interesting to keep an eye out for or with idea in mind of what we could find out having the possibility of being useful, not simply being wary out of the one who is special, but rather being interested in knowing why somebody is if they are special. So yeah, I guess that sounds good. Continue, please.
Many situations. So how have people thought about, the emotion you feel when a bear jumps out of your closet unexpectedly, right? Okay. So here's the logical one. Okay, common sense. Bear is scary, right? You feel fearful, that's your subjective experience, and your body starts to do things like your heart starts to pump, your sweat gland starts to sweat, because you go, this is dangerous, this is scary, here comes my body. That would be the intuitive one. My heart is pounding because I feel afraid. Interestingly, you can all reverse the order and find some things that are better explained that way. So it's sometimes nice. Sometimes people will say, oh my gosh, everything in psychology is so obvious. For some reason, they always say my grandmother would have known it. I don't know why they pick that example. Show us something that science only can tell you, okay? So here's a very clever reversal from William James and also Lang. They reversed it. They said that first comes the bodily response to the situation, and second comes your mind interpreting your body's primary response, the exact opposite order of why we feel as we do. We feel sorry because we cry, angry because we strike, afraid because we tremble, and not that we strike, cry, or tremble because we are sorry, angry, or fearful. See, it's the exact opposite. Here's this. First comes an emotion that's shaking your body in some way, and then comes your mind saying, aha, I'm afraid, pretty fast, or I'm happy, or whatever. So here's some examples, because you could think, okay, yeah, you can cleverly reverse them, but is there any science to suggest that in some cases that relationship does reverse? So here's what people did. I'll show you a picture of this. They said, how can peripheral bodily events, things on sort of the edge of our bodies, influence the emotions we feel inside? So they would have people do things like hold a pencil tightly between their teeth and look at that pencil. They're not told to smile. They're just told to keep that pencil there. And what does that look like? A smile, right? Okay, you've tricked the person's face into smiling. And they don't even know that necessarily. They're thinking this is a weird psychology experiment about how long can you hold a pencil in your mouth. Although they're going to know something more in a moment. Or between the lips, hold that pencil. Now, does this person look happy? No, a little bit not happy, right? Okay, all right, okay. And then you have them watch a funny movie that most people find funny. And they rate how much they like it. And the person who had this one rates it as more enjoyable than the person holding the pencil this way. As if already having the muscles in your face moved into a position that typically signals happiness or laughter makes you feel happy inside. And the funny movie, is even funnier. Being in a somewhat, neutral to negative position makes that same funny movie seem less funny. You're interpreting where your muscles are that normally go with one emotion or another, and it's driving your internal final emotion about how you feel about the movie. Was there a question? Well, does one require more concentration? So you'd have to work. That's an excellent question, because we always like to say, oh, it's this thing. What if this is a harder thing like that? And so one would have to hope, and I have to admit, I don't know, that they've controlled for things like that in some way. If you read the research paper, you'd want to be concerned. That's an excellent question. If this is just harder work, then maybe you're paying less attention to the movie and just hanging on to that pencil. I don't know. I have to hope they did a good job, and that's an excellent question. And here's other ones where they're trying to get the face to go smiley or go frowny, and then they just ask them, how do you feel? And this person will rate themselves as feeling happier than this person as they answer on a piece of paper in front of them. Again, they're trying to say, if I can move your peripheral facial expressions into...
Yeah, I mean, so far I don't really get the chance of saying anything, but it can lead to something like that. It is simply talking about different ways in which emotions can be directly influenced towards being brought into reality and all of that. I think nowadays it is very well known. Not only that everything technique can be down, but also that faking a smile can increase the capacities of you afterwards. Finding happiness is more accessible and similar things, but I mean, maybe, yeah. Okay, something like, because this is in some occasions really never even observed, it is that sadly we have to watch all of these ideas very, very scarcely. I know that I am not really a professional on anything of this sort, but I can try to provide some other context for different ideas aside from simply smiling and making a sad face, a happy and a sad face. Aside from simply that, and integrating, for example, what you very well mentioned, that is different types of breathing techniques and all of those things. It is not only that we know it might happen, that we can experience changes in our body by that, but it is nowadays completely proven that if you're capable of controlling your physical responses properly enough, you can literally trigger different types of hormonal releases because you are demonstrating a yeah a physical exertion that can in some cases be called um, anti-natural, in some others is rather the obvious nature itself of literally observing for long enough periods of time and comprehending for long enough periods of time what is that happens inside of you. But I don't know, yeah. It is really weird to try and comment anything particular here. Certainly. Okay. Okay, let's say like this. You can always observe and you can always put these type of ideas into test yourself. That is the best takeaway from all of this. You can really show to your own brain and to your own subconscious mind if what you're observing is true or not, because you can very much right now start smiling and observing if it is that now things or later on, let's say in after 10 minutes of literally only smiling and nothing else really happening, it is that you can find that you're feeling better, you're dealing with less negative emotions, you're being capable of concentrating more on what you're doing, blah blah blah. So all of these things can now have the possibility of being applied in reality itself. That is the best thing. And to be self-tested. So yeah, basically, as always, try to smile a little bit. That is the best thing here, because certainly it proves to be beneficial. Not everybody has the possibility of really finding success, because sadly, something that is very much obligatory in this type of tests is patience. You need to hold it for like 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 5, 10, half an hour, a complete hour, a long periods of time to observe substantial changes. In the first like 30 seconds or so, you are not really going to find that, wow, out of nowhere the whole world seems brighter and the days seem better and the chair feels comfier and the voices that I can hear sound calmer. No, no, it doesn't simply work like that. But at the very least, you can start to notice with time and with patience how much of a real influence all of those things have on you. Something that can, I mean, it will unavoidably sound weird, show you really what the human body is capable of, and also putting into its proper place the capacity of observing and making sense out of why, in some cases, literally changing one expression can be the difference between being in a good mood the whole day or being in a bad mood the whole day. So yeah, I don't know, I don't know. As I said before, really hard to properly say anything out only what is here and happening. So we might as well simply continue so far. But I think yes, it is implied. If anybody has something else to say, please do so. I prefer to in this one particular refrain from anything so far to say. But yeah, anyways, play.
The muscles into expressions, the feelings will follow from the expressions. You can also do something else, which is you can tell people. So Paul Ekman, his name will come up a lot today. He's done a fantastic amount of the key research in this, making emotions into a research topic in many ways. What he developed is a way that he said, I'm going to describe objectively which muscles are in which position for each of 6 fundamental emotional expressions. We'll come back to those. So he would tell a person, raise your eyebrows and pull them together, raise your upper eyelids, now stretch your lips horizontally back towards your ears. So what he's giving this person step by step is directions that move the muscles into an expression of fear by the time you end up there. The participant usually doesn't know that because it's so weird, okay? You're moving your mouth, you're moving your, it's just so weird, right? But then they can do these kinds of experiments, and these people will report a fearful movie as being more fearful than somebody who just gets to sit there or whose muscles are moved into a happy position. So, all of a sudden you got all these peripheral things being interpreted by your mind as a signal for what emotion you have, or enhancing it anyway. And then, because any strong theory turns out to be not nearly complicated enough, you get the wishy-washy middle, but probably covers more of the truth, which is both things are going on. Both you're having a subjective cognitive interpretation of your environment and a bodily response, maybe more in parallel than one driving the other. So again, how can peripheral bodily events influence emotions? So one idea that's floated around, and probably true, is that the perception or thought, your mental interpretation of your emotion, tells you the type of emotion, okay? So if a bear jumps out, you can say, okay, I know something's pretty intense, and I can tell you right away it's bad. Okay, all right. But if something wonderful jumps out of your class unexpectedly, then they go, oh my gosh, I can't believe that Lindsay Lohan is visiting me, and I didn't even know it. Then if that considered a good visit, that would influence the interpretation, but that the intensity might come from the bodily parts. How intense it is might be signaled from that. So here's a couple of ways that people explore this. So here's a study from years ago from Schachter, where he injected people with adrenaline. So adrenaline is the neurohormone that goes with high arousal. It raises your heart rate, or a placebo. So he's directly taking the chemical that we normally produce under higher arousal conditions. And the first question you might ask is, and you might be curious about it, if somebody gave you a shot of adrenaline, what would you happen? Would you jump out of your seat and run laps around the room? Or what would you do? And surprisingly, all by itself, not very much. People said they feel a bit jittery, like if you've had maybe a little too much coffee or Red Bull, is that the current? Okay, that little jittery feeling, but they're not jumping it up and doing jumping jacks and one-armed push-ups and stuff like that. They're not having, okay. Now, having had the placebo or the adrenaline injected into you, and you don't know that, is they show you an emotion eliciting, they'll show you a movie, like a horror movie, and the people who had the adrenaline will report more fear when they see the horror movie, more anger when they get insulted. That's a fun experiment when you insult them. I'm sure the IRB had to be pretty careful. More laughter for a comedy. So the adrenaline seemed to amplify the intensity of the emotion, but the emotion was driven by the situation. Does that make sense? Okay. But here's something quite interesting about humans, which is that if you told them, we've given you adrenaline and it usually amplifies stuff, then it disappeared. Once the person knew that, they could discount that in their mind. So it's not like adrenaline's your master, okay? And I must have twice as big a response. Once you knew that was in the picture, then the ratings went back to placebo, okay? So it's not that biology is destiny, but under normal circumstances, it seems like the adrenaline accentuates the intensity. So that would go with this possibility that peripheral stuff drives the intensity, peripherally injected adrenaline, and our mind's interpretation drives the content. Here's a sort of fun, slightly sexist experiment. That in the end, I think, explains the following phenomenon. When you see famous movie stars go into movie set, on set or whatever they call it, you incredibly often hear about romances occurring between the leads.
Okay, here. I was thinking about this whole idea of, because it was very much mentioned, how in so many cases, mastering the mind can lead to a mastery, obviously, of the body. And it can very much show in these cases that I wouldn't know if it is simply a theory or something that has been proven enough times, that by having the capacity of going back into what we talked before, making sense out of this world, in this case, what is going on inside of what we decided to call our body, when we are capable of understanding and knowing fully well what is going on there, it is that we can now feel, think, and kind of sense that so many things get, I will say, easier, because now you can also inducing your own body, something that directly influences the mind in these cases, how you are going to let responses be done towards different types of inputs presented to you, and how it is that you're going once again to be part of all things that relate to the universe contained inside of the power of emotions and the capacity that you also have to dictate to which extent you let one type of or another really exist by themselves. But I don't really know. I mean, it is always interesting to analyze things like this and notice that there isn't really that much people, because sadly we don't have that big of a culture where we show others normally in an average context how big of an influence it is to, for example, start hyperventilating, because literally the easiest way to find yourself nervous is to simply accelerate your speed of breathing. And on the opposite end, if you are capable of reducing it, you're also going to notice now that you magically, for some people, out of nowhere, find yourself to not be feeling so bad and to not be dealing with so many problems and this and that. I don't really know. I can say it is always the crazy part that gets more attention than what really the average one deserves, because you don't really need to believe that, wow, you're now going to avoid crying for the rest of your life because you can control your emotions, you have become a master of them, but rather that you can kind of out of nowhere find yourself to not be in so much pain, dealing with so many bad things, struggling so much in particular types of situations, because you hold a little bit more of control over what is done inside your body for this or that. But I don't know. I think it still is deeper than that, while being still not so complex. But yeah, anyways, continue.
Movie stars go into movie set, on set or whatever they call it, you incredibly often hear about romances occurring between the leads, right? And there's debates about whether it's just the press agents selling their movie or whatever, but you hear that all the time, right? Okay, so I'm going to tell you why that happens when it really happens. I can't really tell you that, but I can tell you an experiment that might touch on that, right? So here's the experiment. This was done by Dutton and Aaron in North Vancouver, Canada. And they did the experiment in an area where there were two bridges, not right next to each other, pretty near each other. One was a flimsy suspension bridge, 5 feet wide, swaying and wobbling 320 feet over jagged boulders and river rapids, right? So you have to imagine Indiana Jones, right? Okay, and like you come to this bridge and you're going, I don't know, okay. The other one upstream, same river, same Canadian district, there's a steady, low, broad bridge, no problem at all, right? You could drive your car over that, no problem, all right? Two bridges over the same waters, one seeming scary, one not. Then what they did is, in the middle of each bridge, they placed an attractive, in this case, female Confederate. Maybe somebody's done the reverse gender experiment. I don't know that. This is, anyway. And as men walk across the bridge, they ask them to fill out a questionnaire, some boring questionnaire. And they casually mention that if that person, as they finish the questionnaire, has more questions, he can call the woman providing the questionnaire at home, and she provides him her home number, okay? And the measure that they have is how many phone calls go from the male subjects to the female experimenter at home, okay? And they're betting that it's not really scientific curiosity that's driving a lot of the phone calling, all right? But here's what they actually find. More males will call that female at home if they were on the dangerous bridge than on the safe bridge. That's the actual finding. And the interpretation is this. The dangerous bridge, because of the true feeling of danger, produces high arousal, increased adrenaline. And that's misinterpreted, or what if you want to call it that, by the male because he thinks now he's super attracted to that woman because of the swaying bridge, okay? So another reason to take your, if somebody you want to win over, whatever the gender situation is, a really scary roller coaster ride, is highly recommended together with that warm beverage, as long as it doesn't spill on them, right? I mean, I'm making you too powerful to control people, right? Again, the arousal of the bridge has been misinterpreted by that person as...
I mean, yeah, this is, I am pretty sure, very well known, so not that much of an opportunity to comment on that, but certainly what was said by the teacher about, let me see.
As long as it doesn't spill on there, right? I mean, I'm making you too powerful to control people, right?
Certainly, you can believe that you have now too much control over other humans. In reality, it is simply understanding how things work on a very basic level, on a very rough sketch of reality. It is not that out of nowhere, wow, we have become master manipulators. It is simply, yeah, this works like this. You can utilize it in this type of situations, and you can know, yeah, you can now also know if somebody is trying to use them at your favor or at their favor or not. But yeah, as I said, not that really much of a thing to extract from what is very, very, very well known.
You know, again, the arousal of the bridge has been misinterpreted by that person as an intense attraction to that woman. And you could imagine making movies at probably high arousal, exciting situations, and that would promote romantic relations in high intense situations that might not other occur. Yeah. They had to randomly assign them to one bridge or the other. Yeah, you would hope, you know, I can tell you there's been a bunch of other experiments sort of like this. This is the most what you could call ecological, silly, or sexist you could figure. But they all go with this idea that if you're in a high arousal situation, you sort of move over that arousal into whatever seems to be, whatever it is you're encoding. Does that make sense? Okay. And in this case, because you're creating an interaction between a man and a woman, it's promoting this probability of a sense of romance in the male. Is that okay? But it could be any situation. The arousal will make it. If it's something bad, it can make you feel worse about it. Totally excellent question. You're asking awesome questions. You know, now this is because, you know, I have to assume, and this is, I should know this, but I don't, that they weren't, yeah, because if you had males self-selecting, you know, you have some males running to the dangerous bridge, drawn to danger, and others saying, oh, please give me a safe road, okay? You know, is that the real difference? So you have to presume they did something to control that, yeah. Excellent question. But so the current view is, you know, something like that. There's two factors, that there's both. There's a bodily response that happens pretty fast, pretty automatically, pretty unconsciously. There's a lot of interpretation. And the combination of that bodily response and an interpretation leads you finally to the subjective experience you have. And probably it works differently for different emotions, and things are complicated. I'll just but the order, you know, we're pretty far from this first guess in terms of the fact that peripheral things can have very powerful effects on how you interpret situations. The intensity with which you interpretations, and the intensity itself can change the behavior that follows the situation. So 3 questions in the field are emotions universal? Are they in you from when you're born? Are they the same for people around the world? Do they have unique physiological signatures? Could we define, if we knew your heart rate, if we knew your, you know, your pulse and so on, could we know what emotional state you're in? And then speculations as to why we have emotions at all. What's the use of having emotions? So brilliant as he is in many ways, this dialogue began in modern times with Charles Darwin, who noticed that animals had very striking facial expressions, as we saw before, and that made him think about the evolution of facial expressions. There was one of his drawings of a cat. So here's infants having early displays of emotions, and so people have been very joy, disgust, surprise.
I mean, so far the questions are very understandable in the sense of they really seem to be that deep, but once you observe that very much what was said before really is true in this world, at least, where so much subjectivity is always present, because of those things, it is that we can really get to comprehend and to say that certainly things like this have a certain part that is shared, but others that are really down to the individual, and that we can't in any way whatsoever change or not, because it isn't really possible. But what still has a little bit more of sauce to it is this whole notion where, because people has also discovered the capacity of kind of not simply altering, more like naming, categorizing, and now also discriminating between different types of emotions, we have lost the chance of seeing if at a certain level there aren't different emotions that are present not simply on anyone, but rather that are present on all of those who go through this very same situation without any margin of being wrong, let's say. But I don't know. Also, things like, for example, brain encoding in the sense of, okay, we're getting anxious. Now the best response would be to get ready to initiate the fight or flight mechanisms is good, or if on the other hand something like, okay, we're getting anxious, therefore we might as well start pumping blood towards the muscles because there might be any type of confrontation. It isn't in any way the same thing, yet they are born from the same type of stimuli. So yeah, I don't know, but yeah, potential knowledge at the very least.
Sadness, anger, fear. So people have been very impressed that very early on, infants are having the full array of expressions. Of course, they might see them, from moments from their birth. They have people around them, but it's very early. That's almost for sure. A really interesting line of research, and I'll show you an example, has been looking at emotional expressions, emotional facial expressions in people who are born deaf or born blind, so they never hear intonation, they never see a facial expression, right? They can't learn it from their environments. So they're a sort of a natural window into, is this inborn in us, or do we learn it from people around us? So here's an experiment where they took spontaneous facial expressions of emotion in athletes from both the Olympics and the Paralympics. And they looked especially at congenitally blind people who were born blind, never saw a face, and sighted athletes. And they looked at the expressions after winning or losing an Olympic-level match. And before I show you this, you may know the story. What happens after an Olympic event? Somebody wins, and where do they go? Do they go, this podium thing? The gold medal is here, the silver is here, and the bronze is here. And they've also done studies, this is just a side note, saying, who looks the happiest in those pictures? The bronze medal winner. Who looks the saddest in those pictures? The silver, right? Because the bronze medal winner is going, thank goodness I came in third place. I'm on the podium, I have an Olympic medal. If I'm in fourth place, fourth through infinity gets the same Olympic medal, right? Okay. The silver medalist, what's he or she thinking? On average, man, if I had just, one more fractions of a millisecond, I could be the gold medalist, right? Okay, so it's kind of an interesting thing of, when we consider things satisfactory or not. But now let's turn back to this question. So here's two people who just lost Olympic medal matches. And your question is, which is a sighted person and which is a blind person? And to the extent it's hard to be certain, that would be a big suggestion that these expressions are inborn in us, because a person who's never seen a sad expression still has a sad expression. And the answer is,
okay.
That's a blind athlete and that's a sighted athlete. So it's pretty convincing, I think, that we're born with this set of expressions as a core entity of being human.
I mean, I never really thought about something of this sort. It is true, but also there is a part of it where you can very much, or at least in my case, when I find myself in certain types of emotional states, I can agree that I really am kind of driven towards having a certain type of expression on my face. Like, I don't know. It is unavoidable for me, if I am getting angry, to not make a frown, or if I am happy, to not make a smile, or if somebody does something that could have been dangerous enough that turned out to be good, to not be, to avoid laughing, for example. There are things that certainly happen that my brain kind of tells me, okay, this is the response. And I will guess the funny and the interesting thing is to take out from this particular analysis, not only that blind people has this same capacity, but is it something that we really realize we have going on? I mean, yeah, I didn't expect something like this, I will say. But certainly, it has a little bit of a very interesting part where you observe that a particular piece of emotion may almost forces you into moving towards a certain type. Uh, I mean, it might be kind of vulgar, but at the end of the day, it is, I think, the best example. If a human gets aroused enough, their physical response is going to be one that can be observed on their reproductory zones, let's say. And there is no way to avoid it. I will believe. I mean, and yeah, unless you're trained, there is no way for you to avoid. Obviously, as long as you get aroused enough in having this type of response towards those situations. But I mean, yeah, I mean, when you put it from that light, certainly emotions kind of drive you towards certain types of things. I wouldn't simply say expressions in this case. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't really know. Um, Trying to make sense out of something so kind of random out of nowhere, but it makes complete sense so far. So yeah, I mean, continue probably so far.
Even though we're born with that, we live in different cultures, very different cultures around the world, and even within countries and across countries. And so how universal are these sorts of things? And there's lots of evidence of a degree of influence of cultures, even around this core universality. So does a smile mean friendship to everyone? And again, Ekman and Hazard made a big study in which they argue that as far as they can tell, and looking around at facial expressions, there's 6 basic emotional expressions that signal feelings: happiness, sadness, fear, anger, surprise, or disgust. These are all, people who are.
I mean, certainly, this lady isn't always so long. The only problem is, I would say something like, if you don't really have the capacity of zooming in enough, and even less know how it is that naturally you can zoom in as somebody who's observing it without any practical tool in your hands to do so, how you will realize that there is content on that slate, because it always has things to be observed, but when you try to do so, you need to know what you're trying to look for. You can simply enter randomly or start analyzing out of nowhere the state without knowing that there might be something or that you could extract this particular idea, But anyways, I mean, interesting anyways. It is always nice to go through these type of things, because you're going to find something. Therefore, you're already changing a part of you that accepts maybe this has something interesting. So yeah, I don't know. But also, I feel compelled to say this. This particular image we have already seen before, and I am pretty sure we have also heard these ideas that, yeah, the emotions are pretty much completely global.
Trained to try to make the perfect expression of those things, okay? They look kind of weird by themselves, right? They look kind of weird. You don't see a neutral one here. Maybe we'll see a neutral one later. Neutral is kind of weird because you go, well, it's neutral. But I can tell you, a totally neutral face looking at you can be kind of creepy, right? Because if you interact with somebody and they have no expression at all, it's a little disturbing, right? So because normally but these are ones that are pretty universally recognized, but not completely. So let's take Westerners, people from the United States or Europe. we're not perfect at that. Even with these posed pictures, this is how often people came up with the correct labels. Pretty often, not perfect. So there's a lot of mystery at the edges of this. But here's how people came up from non-Western cultures for the same Western faces. Well above chance, but not the same as Westerners looking at Western expressions. And that it would reverse if Westerners had to look at non-Western expressions. So there's definitely a degree of cultural influences on the recognition of these expressions as well. It's partly innate and universal, and there's a cultural overlay as well. And this is a joke. Shoot, you got not only the wrong planet, but you got the wrong solar system. I mean, a wrong planet I can understand, but a wrong solar system. And you can tell with just a little information that this is a sheepish smile of embarrassment, and this is a little bit of the body expression of, a little bit of irksomeness, right? Irked. Okay, but here, here's an isolated, pre-literate tribe in New Guinea, and that smile looks like the smile of any kid you ever saw. That sadness, the sadness of any kid you ever saw, is a little bit of a disgust, right? And so people have built up a model, something like there's things in the environment that happen that drive some sort of facial affect program. Your muscles in your face move to express 6 or so or different kinds of feelings. Cultural rules about what should you show, what should you not show in different cultures. Some faces expressions are more appreciated than others. And finally, all of that moves into the facial expression you make. So now, second question we have. So we see.
Wait, what? What?
Expression you make. Some faces expressions are more appreciated than others, and finally, all of that moves into the facial expression you make. Some faces things. Cultural rules about what should you show, what should you not show in different cultures. Some faces expressions are more appreciated than others, and finally, all of that moves into the facial expression you make.
We don't really have things like that, do we? Do we have something like that? Like, I mean, it is pretty well known that you shouldn't you shouldn't show that you're sad in the middle of a public setting, but it doesn't really mean that by any means you should not find yourself to be sad on these type of places. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, never really thought about it in that sense, but certainly, if you said to live in certain types of emotions, okay, okay, this is going to be long. When you have the possibility of showing all the different emotions that happen to you, and even more when you have the chance of understanding those emotions and being capable of going back to what I said before, articulating them, not only for others but also for you to understand it, is that you find that you know better what is going on inside of the brain that is you and the physical body that is you, and to be capable of, in those cases, also properly correlating what is happening to what is causing it and what could be the response towards it. But in a society in which you might find that it is necessary for you to limit certain types of emotions, you're kind of cohorting the people towards not really finding those solutions towards them, even if the intention might be good, because you're kind of assuming that in some cases feeling sad is bad. The only thing that you're doing is damaging their capacity of finding those responses by themselves, because then you are believing that they are so fragile that they are not going to be capable of dealing with them, when in reality you haven't even tested if they have or not those tools for dealing with this type of situations. And by doing so for long enough periods of time, it is that you can find and that you can kind of assume that people is going to be less and less capable of properly comprehending what should be the proper response in this type of situations. And I might be incredibly overthinking this at this point, but I think one of the best examples is nowadays we might try to say or to correlate what I am saying with literally I mean, yeah, I might be overthinking it much, but something like one of the possible reasons for why we are having what is caused the supposedly depression pandemic and overall highest depression rates around the world, being the reason that we have shown whoever decided to say that they were feeling bad before so much and so constantly that nowadays people doesn't even know how to deal with these type of situations because they are not allowed to feel sad or at the very least to express that they are feeling like that. But yeah, I don't know. I wish to believe that I am overthinking it. I mean, yeah, yeah. I don't know. I I certainly don't know, and I don't wish for anything of what is said to be true. But yeah, what? I don't know. Interesting. That is what I can say. But oh yeah. I think that was too much. I think that was too much, my man. Man, no. We're wrong here, and yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man. What the fuck? It feels incredibly wrong to say something like that, man. What? I mean, what I said also. Even if the intentions are good, you're literally kind of crippling people. No. 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 It isn't that. I am speaking about wrong thing. But I mean, let me try to explain this. But if in a society you also allow people not only to not show their emotions, but to replicate a message that they do not comprehend towards others, you're going to unavoidably have to deal with problems like this one. And in this case, if you get repeated enough times, I think we know about this particular test, no? Or it wasn't a test, experiment. About the monkeys that after long enough generations of getting corrected after trying to go and touch a banana and getting shocked because of such actions, if you swap the monkeys inside of the cage for new ones that do not know about this rule, after long enough generations of reinforcing this message, it reaches a point where a new monkey is introduced into a group that never before tried to even go for the banana and gets this new monkey also completely obliterated because he doesn't know that he shouldn't go for the banana. But it is something that the other two, although they didn't go through something like this, find to be completely negative. In this case, we're talking about, I don't know, maybe at some point I would guess, being overly emotional as a human being can be considered negative because if you don't possess the proper tools to deal with something like that, you are going to find that you are going to be swimming in a deeper pool of turmoil than anybody else related to your own emotions because you didn't give yourself time enough to properly explore those realities. Maybe what got lost in the Middle East to understand that there needs to be somebody going through these experiences with you, but I can very much see or comprehend why an idea like this gets predicated and was so successful before. But I don't know. I mean, obviously, particularly for the males, it is negative. But it also happens that, particularly for a male, what happens sadly is that we possess too much of a tendency towards being aggressive. Yeah. I'm not even going to mention something like testosterone or whatever. We have a tendency for being aggressive. And if you can't even control that particular aspect of yourself and you let some of those, or even that particular emotion take control of who you are, then you're going to find that you're going to be swimming in more problems than what you could ever have found yourself before. If you try to take on this adventure with the proper company of somebody else. I mean, the problem is to believe that you can somehow not find the same problem that literally everybody else before you found. But in trying to say this and trying to negate you from the possibility of exploring this, the part of you still needing and having a necessity over exploring in a safer way these things, all of this idea gets lost. If that happens, then we can kind of conclude that the human itself ends up losing a part of what is fundamentally a connection between the emotions and the rest of the world that can properly give them a way to exist in reality, because it literally needs to be balanced. And to reach balance, you first need to know where things can go wrong and when do you have too much or too few of something, you know. But I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't know which one was the first case of something like this happening. I can pretty much no names needed. First and second were literally events that got born out of concatenations of events born from people not being capable of managing their emotions in one way or another, you know. So there isn't a real lack of examples, you know. There isn't a real lack of, wow, is it really bad to have wild emotions, to be controlled, to be swayed by my emotions? The only problem is, once again, to believe that you can really kill the side of you can learn to have emotional balance. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I certainly don't know. Man. Yeah, let me drink water. After drinking water, I would have it figured out. Let me drink water in a second. Man. Man. I don't know. I hope it really isn't true. But at the same time, yeah, it feels like that. I mean, certainly, it is. When you see it like that, it becomes very apparent that there is such a lack of awareness about these type of problems that just knowing about it already lets you understand that it is bad. You know, it isn't that, oh wow, I know about this concept, but I need to analyze it to really see if it is bad or not. No, 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 no. You see it, and just because you see it, you know that it is bad already. You know, it is like out of nowhere, you find a completely rotten apple in the middle of a basket full of nice red ones. So I don't know. I think no. It that isn't the response. I was going to say something like society itself has a tendency towards not thinking. That is not a response. You can't blame the whole society for not having a tendency or not doing something. Um, Society isn't trying to have as many planes existing at, at the same time. It doesn't really make sense to say something like that, even in this case where wow, society is so bad because they don't realize how bad they are. No, that isn't the response. Uh, it is something more like, I guess, probably what happens is because the fear of emotions draw people to not even um, try to understand them, the natural tendency ended up shifting towards also not even giving a possibility to think. Because sadly, one of the most emotionally feel things in life is the act of thinking. And because when you think, you kind of have to unravel and have to, let's say, explore the whole reality which you live. Um, hello, Valerie. We're right now learning a little bit about psychology, and I think, yeah, we have stumbled upon a very interesting idea so far. That is what I am trying to explain right now. Um, the topic itself was simply emotions in this particular class, but yeah, because when you try to think, you have to deal with the consequence of the emotional charges that appear from the simple act of thinking. Because you deal with that constantly, if you can't even comprehend the necessity of feeling those things to a proper extent, you might as well believe that it is necessary for you to live altogether the act of thinking, because it will unavoidably drive you towards the negative side of, let's say, finding that you are going to get into one type or another, once again, unavoidably, of crisis where you're going to see that your emotions get out of control, and that because society has already told you that getting in such a state is completely negative, because something like that is already well known to you, you might as well not even want to let it happen, let's say. I think that is a better explanation for why we will have a tendency of over not thinking about this type of situations, because it doesn't really make sense, as I said before, to simply try to argue that wow, society negates people the possibility of thinking or anything like that. I think, no, uh, I don't know. I don't really know, and I don't wish for anything of that sort to be true. I mean, there are there are ways to try and solve something like that, but can you really even start to show something.
Mr. Worldwide, Mr. 305, Daddy. Today I just want to tell you, me gusta la Pepsi.
Hello, hello, Chul. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Um, welcome. We and also thank you for the raid. Welcome everybody who comes with Chul. I hope you had a nice stream. We are so far right now learning a little bit about emotions, and we haven't. I don't know for how long. I think it has been like 20 minutes or so, considering one particular point, and that was how we have a tendency towards shunning, I would say, people who shows certain types of emotions. So yeah, we have been simply observing that idea, and we have been trying to make sense in right now how to solve this problem if it were to be a problem that really exists and not differently. Yeah, not that it happened differently, but we were on the part of what type of emotions are the emotion. Okay, so far what we have seen is obviously what happens in society nowadays is that we have a tendency towards negating people the chance of feeling anything that can be minimally named a negative, no matter which kind of negative it is, because either depression on a very similar tone, sadness, melancholy, rage, hatred, all of those things get shunned and get completely destroyed and invalidated if somebody were to find themselves feeling them. And in this case, something that also was said before, although it might be true that males could have a bigger tendency towards not allowing this type of emotions, it happens no matter who is it. It happens on every part of society. In some cases a little bit more, in some cases a little bit less, but it unavoidably happens. And because these emotions are shown, we don't want to find ourselves, let's say, being left out of society. Because of it, something also that sadly happens is when this message gets lost enough in time, what ends up becoming a reality is that every part of sadness is bad, and that you should in no way whatsoever coexist with sadness and know what it is to feel sad and to be capable of explaining to yourself what this particular sadness that resides inside of you feels like, let's say. And this ends up later on getting even more extrapolated into the sad reality that emotions overall are negative to feel, and that emotions are something that you should not really try to deal with so much. And because emotions are bad, you should try to avoid what could arouse emotions, at the very least negative ones. And sadly, what happens is thinking is a very good way to get emotional, and realizing the act of observing something and letting your mind go on towards what you are concentrating, because you are giving yourself that chance, it is that then you see that you are going to unavoidably arouse emotions. Therefore, the point was maybe we are shunning people for thinking because of this reason. Because, as I said before, we assume this is true. I wish for all of these things to be complete bollocks, as they will say. And I hope I am wrong. But if we were to assume that what I said, all of these things are true, maybe something that could be considered as a solution is the idea of living with emotions is necessary, because at some point or another, every single human is going to deal with them in one way or another, unavoidably, as it happens that different situations in life end up driving us towards them. And if we can learn how they feel and how to deal with them before they really appear, if we're capable of understanding them, maybe not firsthand, going through grief, for example, maybe, in going through grief, through loss, through the sadness of a breakup, the feelings that gets brought into you because you got robbed. Maybe not firsthand, but understanding what somebody feels and understanding how all of those things might affect you and how all of those things might be an unavoidable part of your life, and letting them exist by letting all of those things be part of you. It is that later on you can avoid the crisis that we before tried to define as supposedly unavoidable. But I yeah, you, you will want to backtrack a little bit. You will want to backtrack a little bit. I tell you, man. I tell you. You will want to backtrack a little bit. But yeah, it was. No. You can literally go watch it right now. No problems, my man. But certainly the point is to live with those emotions is to find how to deal with them later on and to allow them to exist in tinier fractions is to avoid the possibility later on of destroying your growth overall, let's say. But yeah, I don't know. I think I wish for all of the things that I said to not be true. So yeah, I feel bad already. This is certainly one of those few streams where I feel bad about things that we're talking about. So, can I end here? Is there no problem if I end here? This feels bad, man. I don't know. I I don't know. Answering what you say, actually, I recommend going to watch it. Please, argument against what I said. I will also do the same. I am going to remove this idea from my mind. But man, no, I don't know. Certainly, I don't know. Man, I yeah, I don't know. Uh, my man, it's too bad that we're not better. I don't know what to really say. Man, well, yeah, that's a tiny crisis that we have to deal with. Man, well, man, yeah. Let's try to end it here. Let's. Could you post the video? the video, the link of the video that we were watching. Yeah, it is already posted. I already did. Don't worry. Don't worry. But man, also yeah, please. What I was saying, like, literally he never implied anything like that. But I don't know, my man. Yeah, no problem, no problem. It is there. We left on to this. I was about to say this someone. But yeah, man, that is certainly thoughts to take into bed. Now, time to go to sleep. Good night, everybody. Good luck having a proper night's sleep. Man, all of the things that I say here might be lies. Believe in that and do not live here. Believe in that I say anything in any way whatsoever true. Please, man. I don't know. Let me see. Let me try to find some bites already. Let me. Let's get out of here into something happier. Okay. I have one. Man. So. Okay. I have this one. Yeah. A little bit of a beautiful existential rare, as they will say, my man. Beautiful. So yeah. Anyways. Thanks as always. Let me say it properly. Thanks as always for being here. Thanks for watching. Thanks for looking. Thanks for being with us. What we talk about. It is always a very beautiful gift and a very nice occasion. Although the topics that we talk about might not be the best ones, we try to always to not feel sad about them. So, well, now we're going to end it over here and we're going to properly take a break, rest, hydrate, stretch, do all the things that we need to do. Well, if we can, in the future, we're going to be back here to do something. Tomorrow there is going to happen. There is something happening tomorrow. Anyways, now we're leaving. We're going to read. Wait, do we have the right bots? Are you live bots? Yeah, no. It isn't live, right? Okay, there it is. We're going to read into Regulus All, who is doing art, and well, if we don't have the possibility of getting back here, at the very least we enjoyed being here, and I know we're supposed to enjoy. Anyways, thanks for everything. Thanks for looking, thanks for watching, thanks for chatting. Remember to stay well, happy, nice, and well, thanks people. And also thanks Jules for the rain. Sorry. I forgot the shout out, no! I am fucking stupid.